Hi, and welcome, Vlad and Marina from Florida. My goodness, we have a real pleasure to have two action-oriented people, a couple that has been in the Lower Mainland for some time investing in places like Maple Ridge and Jurock and Surrey, but 2 years ago said, heck with that, spent some time in Phoenix and then moved to Florida and now doing real estate in Florida. So welcome.
Hi, Ozzie.
Hi.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah, thank you for the warm introduction. Yeah, so just like you said, we used to invest in Canada, started 8 years ago, and in 2022 we decided to explore other opportunities, and we went down to the US. We actually drove through the whole country, and evidently we ended up in Florida. So now we live here, invest here full time, and I am also a licensed realtor now, helping other people buying their investment properties.
But why Florida? I mean, I know you were in Phoenix, and I know I've invested in Phoenix and Arizona, but why particularly Florida?
Well, we found the state of Florida very appealing to us, besides personal reasons such as warm and sunny weather, nice beaches, and just a laid-back lifestyle. We picked the state of Florida because it is business friendly with no business tax. It has no state income tax. It is one of the top 5 landlord-friendly states in the country. There's still cash to be
You have
had.
to stop it. It sounds too good to be true. No business tax, no property transfer tax, you said?
There is, it still applies, yeah, but it works a little different. So a portion of it actually the seller pays at closing, most of it.
Oh, interesting. Well, the thing about Florida is it is a beautiful place. I had the privilege of being in charge of a very large corporation. We had some 10,000 employees. Well, in long time ago, there's some real troubles in the United States, and this over 1,000 banks went bankrupt. Sometimes when we hear people talk about troubles, well, there's nothing today that was then in the 90s. But as part of the trouble, there's always opportunity, right? So I was able to buy a US company called the Red Carpet. It has 150 offices, and they had 6 offices in Florida, and in the nicest part there. So my wife, who always traveled with me as I went through this empire of offices, when I went to Winnipeg or when I went to Utah, she didn't want to come. But when we went to Florida, she was right there, right? There was the intercoastal, and as you said, there's palm trees and ocean. It's a real thing. People go there, right? So there's no question. Now, you said it's investor friendly and it's landlord friendly. I mean, that is music to anybody in British Columbia, because not only is our local government not investor friendly, it also has created all sorts of new laws and regulation that are what they're calling a tenant Bible and a renter's Bible, and everything is against. We're sort of a landlord is sort of a bad animal. Not in Florida.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest reasons why we explored this state specifically.
And when we say it's a landlord-friendly state, what we mean is landlords and tenants have equal rights and responsibilities. And
Yeah,
that's what
a good point with the word responsibility, So it's there is not just the expectation, what will you do for me? What can we do to each other or to keep the property in good shape for the future for both sides, So okay, so you're now in Florida, and of course there's a lot of stories out there that can Canadians get insurance on the property that they buy there? I had somehow in my lifetime I heard that was difficult.
Yes, absolutely. Canadians investor can purchase insurance products. In fact, all they ask is just date of birth and mailing address, where to send you the bill and the quote. It's readily available. Basically, there are different types, of insurance, and there are different factors involved to get an insurance quote, and those factors would be something like the age of the property, the age of the roof, if it's a single family house, the physical condition of the house inside and out, the construction materials such as, like wood frame versus concrete block, all the typical things basically. So, but yeah,
And that makes sense. I mean, it's for every insurance company. I guess what what we had heard, or what the common wisdom was, which obviously is wrong, as you tell us, is that our foreigners or non-Floridians cannot get insurance, so they can get insurance. Now,
Yes.
there's the big elephant in the room aren't there a lot of hurricanes and big storms and
Yeah, yes, Florida is known for having occasional hurricanes, and this is why it's very important to do a thorough due diligence and understanding and mitigating risks, because the damages caused are not just caused by winds, it's also more damages are caused by water. So this is why we have our strict criteria. So we don't buy near water. We don't buy in flood zone. We check evacuation zone that tells us the elevation level of a property. The higher, the better. And we always recommend that people have adequate insurance, hurricane insurance in place.
yeah, and I think that is good advice. I mean, in general, it's good advice. I mean, even BC, we had a huge flood problem and still have. And in fact, at one of our recent real estate action group meeting, I told people that there's some insurance now will not even insure in British Columbia flood zones. You know, so it's something. That's why you need an expert on the ground like yourselves. You know, you live there now full time with your baby. And you made this your home, right? So you're licensed, Vlad, right?
Yes, I am.
But the boss is still Marina, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Work together. Marina's got a background in financial, degree in financial, so she helps a lot when it comes down to numbers and analyzing deals. For her, it just comes naturally. But
I'm the numbers and the creative side of business, because I do a lot of interior design and when we do furnished rentals.
Yeah, well, I think that the interesting thing there is I always preach, and for my own investment, I always want to make sure that not only do I have a realtor in an area that I don't live in, but also property management. You know, to me, property management is a business, and it has to be structured. And I think that's the good thing about you as a team is that, yes, you can sell somebody a property, but then you have a choice. You can do a short-term rental or a medium-term rental, like 2 or 3 months, or you can have a long-term rental, and then you need somebody to do that for you. It's interesting, there's this concept that is coming in Toronto now with our expensive housing, is that it's sort of the rent invest kind of a concept. And the rent invest might be that you rent in an expensive area, like downtown Vancouver, spend $3,500 or $4,000 on your rental, but then go and buy into a more inexpensive area, right? And do that's where you do your investment. So, for instance, if a Vancouverite went to Edmonton and he can buy a condominium for $250,000, and that same condo in Vancouver costs $900,000. Clearly, if I'm an investor, I want a lower priced condo. From a return point of view, right? But you need somebody to manage it, you know, and so that makes it very important. So hurricanes we've dealt with, insurance, but there is a lot of bad news about strata fees increasing in Florida.
Yes, that is the case. There's been a lot of negative news about it, but it's simply because the HOAs, they didn't have the reserve funds in place. So
Should say HOA would be homeowner association. We call it a sort of strata council in Canada. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So yeah, they didn't have reserves. So now that the government is getting more involved in repairs and maintenance of the buildings, like high-rise buildings, people have to come up with, you know, like thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes $100,000s. But again, it's nothing that we haven't seen before in BC. And still, I mean, like there are opportunities to be had. You know, you can buy a very cheap condo that has a high assessment coming up, but if you can buy it for $50,000, then you know it might still be a good deal for you.
Well, the other thing is that you don't really deal in condos, right? You like the idea of people buying homes for investment. No?
Yes, we're sticking with the single family homes because we believe the values grow faster with the land, and there's less headache and bureaucracy, I guess, when you just own a home and don't have to check with the strata or HOA here, because sometimes they ask for permission. There are different rules, so we strictly do the single family homes.
And there's really no need in here with the price levels of single family houses.
Well, that's the interesting thing is that we are so used in British Columbia, and particularly in Vancouver, to have, it's quite normal for us. The average price of a single family home in Vancouver is $2 million. I mean, it was as much as 2.3 million just 2 months ago. Now it's down to 2 million only. And then if you look at the average condo in Vancouver, is $900,000. And that makes a huge difference. I bought a condo very recently in Surrey as an investment, and my strata fees from day one, and this is a brand new unit with all appliances, everything is brand new, but the strata fees are close to $600 a month. So if you went to Florida and see that the average price in a condo be maybe a third, right? But the big interesting thing to me is the single family homes. I mean, what would be the average price for a single family home in the area you're in? You're in the area of what, Saratoga?
We're in the area of, in a specific area of Southwest Florida, which is about 100 kilometers south of Tampa. And it's smaller towns of Sarasota, Venice, Northport, and Port Charlotte, which also are known as being the fastest growing towns in the recent years. And this can be attributed to a global trend of people just tired of living in the major cities. They're moving away to smaller towns, and the big one is affordability. Yeah. You can buy single family house in 200s. It's much lower crime rates, driving homelessness problem compared to big major cities. We have some of the best schools, like top rated schools in the area, and the tenant profile is very important. There are mostly families, retirees, and relocating professionals who are servicing the growing infrastructure in the area.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Why don't we just take a look at what you currently, what would be available, right, to have, and then, as I said, it's very important to have somebody on the ground like Vlad, and of course Marina then would help with the management and working out the numbers. So let me just put up the slideshow. Make sure that you tell me you can see this.
Yes.
It's there. So anyways, we are in the United States and we are in Florida. And here would be an example. Why don't you talk to that?
So this is a recent house that has hit the market, and it's in a town called Northport. It's a very family-oriented town, and it's a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath block construction, and the asking price was $185,000. The only major repair to be done was replacing the roof, and average rent in the area would be $1,800. And if you were to get a mortgage at 25%, with 25% down payment, your approximate principal, interest, and property tax and insurance expense would be in about $1,500.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, 185,000. And then, so then when you get a brand new roof and you're into this for 200,000, it's almost unimaginable. I think you wouldn't get a front door for that in Vancouver.
And just to put it in perspective, if you look at this house and the numbers, if you were to get a single family newer house in Vancouver, you would probably have to put down $200,000 as a down payment if you're lucky.
Well, a heck of a lot more. If you were to put down 20% on a $2 million house, you have to put up 400,000, right? For instance, it was the average house. But so here's another example, and this one is a 2-bedroom and two bath pool house for 270,000. Why don't you talk about that?
Yes, this is our latest purchase. I don't know if Ozzie has a picture of a swimming pool. It's just gorgeous with all the greenery around. So this is the house we recently purchased, and we furnished it. And it's been in huge demand, fully occupied. We put down 67.5K as a down payment. We did some minor upgrades and put furniture in, and now the average rent we're getting is about $3,000, and all of our expenses are just under $2,500.
Well, and that is, all of these costs are, what the current expenses are. But I mean, this looks like unbelievable. The pool alone would be we wouldn't be able to buy that for $300,000. Anyways, here is a long-term rental. So the last one was more of a short-term rental or the medium-sized rental because it's
short-term. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, short-term.
In the summertime, we tend to have more of a shorter term stays. Wintertime is 1 month plus. Really depends on the season and the year, but in general, it's been fully occupied, and the average rents are safe. Conservatively, we say it's $3,000.
Yeah, and so now this long-term rental, again, the list price at $320,000. The down payment is literally minimal, and then you have with costs and income, this would be a nice little nest egg for you to buy. And then the last one is a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom pool house in Port Charlotte. It's on the princely sum of $275,000.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, and this house is actually just hit the market. It's still available. We might probably gonna go check it out. Just it looks beautiful on the pictures, and the price points is
Very attractive.
Very attractive. So the down payment at 25%, which is available to foreign buyers, the foreign buyer through the foreign buyer program, and the property insurance, taxes, and interest would be just under $2,000. Rent average, again, for a long term, we're also being conservative. We say it's about $2,300. But if you decide...
Well, I think it's good to be conservative, and if it's more, it's more, but it's good to have that kind of a feel for it. I mean, when you look at these prices, and we're looking at built-up areas, I know in Vancouver we have right now a sort of a real drive to get out of town. And at one of our meetings recently, we had a specialist on Portugal, and then we had a specialist on Mexico. And when you realize that Mexico has perhaps some difficult times in terms, people are not always doing what they say they will do, and the laws are different. And even if you go to Portugal, it's Europe, you don't exactly know what's going on, and the prices are higher. So why not go to the United States? I know myself, over the years, we invested in Phoenix and in Houston. And every time I went down there, it's Canada. Okay, well, it's not really Canada, but it's similar people, similar laws. And that's why I've said for the longest time that if you want to invest in Canada, the United States, because you understand the legal system, you understand the law system, regardless what their problems are. When you go to another country, it might be worse. Well, when you take a place like Florida, where you have so many options and the weather is nice, imagine you go to Vancouver, instead of buying that $2 million house, but you have, say, you had that $400,000 that you could buy it with. You could go to Florida and buy 5 houses with that, like 5 times $80,000, and then rent in Vancouver, have this rent invest kind of thing. And leave one just for yourself. And so whenever it starts raining in Vancouver, as we are having today in September, then for 4 months you can be down there. Now, for the longest time, I have friends that did that in Phoenix, but there's nothing wrong with considering that for Florida, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
So what else do people have to worry about if they are to Florida? Crime is not nearly as much of an issue as we have.
Yes, the crime is lower, and again, in the areas that we are, like smaller towns, the crime is particularly
in this
lower.
specific area. But if you go to Miami and
Sure.
Orlando, major cities, it's a different world. But
Yeah.
this is why we're staying away from that.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And that's why the idea that you have to find a smaller place, a better environment, people can bring up their kids or can retire, where the costs are not nearly as expensive. I mean, almost everything in Florida that I look at, whether it's your taxes or whether it's your groceries, everything is cheaper than what we're used to. So let me just show this slide. Okay. What I wanted to show was this one. So if somebody were to hire you, so tell a little bit about that. So you would send them pictures of houses available, or you would drive them around if people go down there. What would you do, Vlad?
So I would be actually looking for a house that fits the criteria, just like Marina was saying. We were very particular, and we also suggest to people, not invest into flood zones. I mean, if they want to, of course, we can buy that, but as a investor perspective, we would stay away from that because we just don't want to have a headache. So I would pick the houses myself and see if this house has a potential, whether it's a long term or short term, whatever fits your needs. And then I'll go to the house. I'll actually go inside, do the video tour. I can get insurance quotes. I have a couple of insurance brokers here, so I can do all that for you. I'll do the video tour, like I said, and I'll give you like a spreadsheet of a potential rental income, potential cash flow. The numbers would be approximate because, again, it would depend on the house, the insurance quote. But yeah, I can manage the house. I can furnish it with the help of my lovely wife here. She's done a lot of furnishing packages before.
Connect with the mortgage broker.
I can connect you with a mortgage broker. Speaking of the mortgage broker, yeah, just quickly. So the 25% down program is available for foreign nationals, Canadians. It is called a DSCR loan, which stands for debt to service coverage ratio loan, meaning that the projected rent has to cover the property taxes, insurance, principal, and interest. And it has no income verification. So that's pretty cool, I find. So yeah, I have access to mortgage brokers, and if you need any renovations or repairs to be done, I have access to all the trades, roofers, plumbers, electricians, maintenance people, housekeepers, if you decide to do the short-term rental. And our fees are, yeah, basically on long-term rental would be 8% of the revenue, and short-term rental would be about 15% of revenue. It depends case by case, but this is just an average, and you'll be all case specific. But most important part is we are open to joint venture. We want to grow our portfolio and
together as a team.
So how would that work? I would invest the money, and you would share in the profit. How would it work?
Yeah, so like we're looking for a money investor, and I'm just feet on the ground, so I take care of everything else, like all the logistics, operations. I run around, I schedule people, I check on the place, and I look for the tenants, find tenants, and yeah, basically doing
all around the business.
Yeah, do all the work.
Well, and I think that's the important part. If anybody wants to know more about that, they should get in touch with you. We have Marina and Vlad's phone number as well as the email. If you look below the If you're watching this video, just look below it. We have all the contact information. We are also, since we're going to put this on podcast, just send oz@jurock.com, jurock.com, and I will send you their contact information because we can't put it on the podcast. So look, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule by your pool, you know, and soaking up the sunshine while I look at the rain out the window here. And it's exciting. There's no doubt about it. I think you made a major move in your life, and it's great that we can participate in it. And if anybody wants to go to Florida, they wouldn't be in better hands than right there. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ozzie.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.